niimoodi need inimesed mõtlevad, siis paraku ei jõuagi kaugele, aga selleks, et oleks julgust ja oleks nagu eesmärki ja tekiks ka visioon enda peas, selleks me annamegi tänaste toredate loengutega teile väikeseid nii-öelda häid mõtteidusid pähe ja loodame, et võtate siit tänase päeva jooksul kaasa endaga julgeid mõtteid ja miks mitte ka häid kontakte, sellepärast et väga palju inglise keelt kõnelevaid mitte Eesti inimesi on siin ruumis, nii et võtke varrukas kinni, öelge julgelt hello ja te saategi endale ühe väga kihvti uue inimese sõbraks. Kaire teab natuke rohkem, millest juttu tuleb ja siis juba Karl saab endale mikrofoni ja siis kusjuures me filmime kogu selle ägeda asjaga ülesse, nii et hiljem on võimalik tänast päeva jagada ka oma sõprade ja tuttavatega.
So I try to put it in short in English. Actually, we have 4 foreigners today in my team. Jeffrey, the dog, he's from Texas. And he got the European pet passport faster than Bill got his living and work permit, which is like absolutely ridiculous. But I hear that people from the States, although they don't go under the same quota as the rest of Europe, funny is that the Japanese and the Americans are sort of like out of the immigration quota, but then again, it's so difficult for you to get any kind of permit. Then we have Austin. Austin was the guy who collected coffee money. He's also from the States. Then my cooks one is from Ireland, just arrived a couple of days ago and took the brave step to come to Estonia because my first sentence was that your salary will be half of the salary you get in Ireland. Nevertheless, he decided to come over just for the sake of the experience. And then the other cook is Sean, not Sean the sheep, but Sean from Australia. So the team is already very international, and with this team I wanted to show you, test your tolerance level, test your language skills, and test your willingness to start interacting in many, many languages. Because Estonia is facing strong problem with workforce, very strong problem with qualified persons working in special posts, and we should do something about it. We are not going to import people from the States. That's not the topic of today. We are probably trying to export stuff from Estonia to the States. You talk more in detail about this, yeah?
Sure. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kyra. I have to say that today would not be possible without Kyra and Kama House. She first came to Rapla with me, I guess, about a month and a half or 2 years ago. You've been here many times, but and your mother is from here. But we had a dinner here with some folks from Rapla County government, and we talked about what can we do to give the people in the countryside the same access to creativity and resources that you have in Tallinn. And one of the driving points for that was that it's really, really hard to develop a country when all of the support systems are going to one city. Estonia, as I said at the Vision Conference, it seems kind of like two countries. You have Edgarmaa and the rest of Estonia. And the truth is we need more events like this to get people out of Tallinn and get people out into the countryside to realize the resources that Estonia has in places outside the capital. I'm going to pick up on one thing she was saying about immigration topics. It has been addressed extensively by Estonian employers, Skype being the number one who's always in the media saying that they can't find enough staff. And oftentimes the first thing that comes to my mind as an American is when you want to bring in immigrants, you often think, Hispanics or Asian workforce in the United States that work for a considerable lower wage, and this displaces domestic workers. But in an Estonian context, it's totally different. In the Estonian context, we can't find staff. So my company is Datel. It's been around since 1990, and it's one of Estonia's first IT companies. And to this day, we face a significant shortage of development resources. In fact, if any of you in this room just so happen to be a Java developer, or if you know or can program really well in HTML5, you understand what CSS3 is, then I would be the happiest man in the world if you'd send me your resume. But the truth is that we don't have that many people, and if you are a Java developer, you're already employed, so our low unemployment or level is actually negatively affecting us. But I'm going to switch topics away from immigration and into exporting. So first of all, I'm the head of American operations for Datel, and I'm also on the board of the American Chamber of Commerce. And I've brought many of my fellow board members here to Rapla today, including a representative from the American Embassy. And after I go over quickly some notes on American market entry, I'm going to invite them up, and we're going to have kind of an impromptu session with them where you guys can ask them questions. So let's get started. Just which market entry point in the United States will you choose? So one of the first big problems any company has when they think about exporting to America is first, why should I export to America? Second is, it's really far away and it's really hard. And the third is, our product sucks, so why should we try and sell it to a place that has great things? And I would actually counter all three of those arguments. And I would say the United States is the single largest market of any kind outside of the EU common market in the world. Its government alone spends 3 times the combined economies of all the Nordics, just the government of the United States, $3.8 trillion. That's not including the economy, which is valued at about $40 trillion. The Chinese economy is valued at about 8.5. So everyone says, oh, China is next up and comer. Well, they got a long way to go. They're about 10 times smaller in economy than the United States of America. So first of all, let's talk about regional market access in the United States and what the big difference is between America and Europe. You see this map here with all the colors? Each one of those colors represents a different language in Europe. So if you want to do business between Estonia and France, then you need a French market entry plan. You need to understand what French people want and how to sell stuff in France. And you got to probably speak French. Now, if you want to do business in the United States, the biggest problem America has with language, and this question up here says, what words do you use to address a group of 2 or more people? Okay, so you have more than 2 people in a room, so what word would you use? So most of the people in red say you guys. The people in blue, which are almost non-existent, just say you. In green, they say y'all, which is me, because I'm from this place here. So I would address all of you as y'all. Y'all come back now, I hear. So the biggest problem that an American will have in language is whether you're saying yous guys, y'all, or you. Compare that to Europe, where who the heck knows how to address the 28 other countries in the EU by language? So you're talking about a much, much simpler market entry problem to enter the United States. So let's take a look at where. One of my colleagues in the back is doing business as a small company between Estonia and the United States, and this is a really big issue for people. The mozzarella cheese factory in Vigala, who I always reference as an example. Where do you go to sell your stuff in the United States? So this map is how the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Authority divides the United States. These are regions, region 1, 2, through 10. The problem is that there are probably 100,000 different ways to divide the United States of America. So just saying, okay, we're going to sell things in region 9, where Silicon Valley is totally nonsense because it's a giant common market. Now you want to kind of take a look at which place has something in common with you. So if you're in information and communication technology, which most Estonians are, myself included, the big hotspots for you are going to be Silicon Valley and Boston and New York City. But there's a lot of other places. Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina. This is the biotech headquarters of the world, of America. And this is where Daria is from nearby there, our AmCham director. Miami is really good as an access point to Latin America, so you can hit the American market and get all the resources you need to go south. Each one of these places has their own niche. Each state, each metro area has a niche. And if you're in one of these niches, that's the place for you to go to get the resources you need to be successful in selling your product. Now, I put a little star here, and I said, notice no Delaware. Now, the reason I say that is because almost everybody who wants to do business in America immediately thinks, I need to incorporate in Delaware. Because if you Google something, you're going to find, create a Delaware corporation. It's total nonsense, but a lot of people do it. The reason why is Delaware, first of all, has no sales tax at all, and supposedly its court system is more friendly to business than other states. The problem is that if you incorporate in Delaware and do business in California, the state of California will see through your Delaware corporation as a transparent entity and will just press charges against you in California. So the best thing for you to do is incorporate your company in the state that you do business, not randomly in Delaware. Now let's talk a little bit about what you can do as an Estonian company to actually get abroad. What can you do to ramp up, to scale up your business so that you can sell in the United States? One of the first things that you want to do is figure out where to go. You want to do some kind of a business analysis, figure out which metropolitan area kind of fits you. You want to think about partnerships and distributors. If you're a cheese company, the worst thing that you could do probably is go and try and just sell your cheese on the street unless you want to get feedback. What you want to do is find a distributor, somebody who can resell your stuff for you so that you only have a single client, like Target or Walmart or Starbucks. But I would say, and I learned this from a Swedish colleague of ours, Estonia should never be in Walmart. Your products are not to be cheap things that you can buy in Walmart. What you should aim for is like Coffee Super Service guy over here. You should be the premium experience, the premium product. Yoik soaps and candles should not be in the dollar store. They shouldn't even be in Target. They should be in boutique shops, and they should command a high price, and they should return value for you on the amount of money that you're spending to sell it. If you have any kind of a doodad, blacksmith man here, if you can make a cool cast iron pot or a door handle or something strange like that, what you want to do is find a unique shop that sells to weird people who want cast iron stuff. The worst thing that you could possibly do is go to Walmart, find a way to sell your stuff for, pennies, and then try and go to volume. Because you can't do that. You can't produce millions and millions and millions of cast iron pots, but you can produce a small quantity at a high price, and you want to find people who are interested in buying European products. Because in the United States, it's very, very difficult to find things made in Europe. For instance, today I'm wearing a Sanger shirt, Montan pants, and Suva socks, all made in Estonia. I met someone from the Swedish Foreign Trade Bureau the other day who told me that Estonia is one of the only EU member states that actually has a textile industry. Wow. Now consider this. If you live in Richmond, Virginia, the capital of Virginia, and you want to buy a shirt not made in Honduras, you can't. You literally can't. It is impossible. It is not possible. The only thing that you might be able to do is Google for 35 minutes trying to figure out somebody who's going to sell European shirts to you online. Why? Because the amount of textile industry in the world has collapsed into just India and Honduras and the Philippines and other third world, in quotes, countries. But you guys, Suva included, Sanger, Baltica, could take a premium product to a boutique shop in a high-end part of Richmond that has a large volume of clients and sell it for a reasonable price. If I want to buy a shirt made in Honduras with a good brand name on it, look at Tommy Hilfiger, Honduras, 200 euros. Yeah, sure, part of it's about brand, but the other part of it is I want to wear something that's not made in a sweatshop. And you got to think about that perspective. Why do people spend $6 on Starbucks coffee? Because they're doing it for the experience. They want to hold a cup that has a Starbucks logo, and they want to go and feel like a premium client, and they want to feel good about spending all that money. You put up a sign in the front of your shirt store that says Made in Europe, and take a picture of some sweet old lady working at your factory and not in a sweatshop, and then tell them that you're using fabric from Italy and that your shirt's only $150 instead of $400. Or Baltman suits. Compare that to a suit made in Europe or in Italy that's sold in the United States for $3,000. I can buy a Baltman suit in Tallinn for less than $400. That's like 100% less, 10 times less than I can buy a suit for in the United States. So explain to me why Baltman doesn't just go to the United States, find a distributor, open up its own store, and sell it for just 5 times more than they sell it for here instead of 10 times. Is it a matter of self-confidence? Is it because they feel inferior? Is it a matter of the United States being too far away and too complicated? Is it a matter of not understanding? Well, what's one of the reasons you've got me? And you've got that table of people with the American flag over there. Because there is an American Chamber of Commerce, there is an American embassy, there is crazy people like Kyra. There's so many people in Estonia who are passionate about helping you get out and export, because that's the only way to grow an economy. Do you realize that? If you look to Tavi Roivas and to the government, or to the elections, or to whatever party you believe in, and say, hey, save us, fix our economy, the only way that you can bring money into an economy is to export, because then you bring in foreign currency into your market, which grows your level of income. Do you realize that alone is the only way to prevent massive runaway inflation and grow your base salary? The number one problem Andres Ansep told me he saw in Estonia was a low standard of living. And there are people in Rapla County who do not have a toilet. Do you realize that? That is not because Estonia is not spending enough money. That is because Estonia is not exporting enough. And I'll use the exact same example I used at the Vision Conference. Finland is exporting at least 40 to 60% of its cheese to the United States of America. And Finnish cheese is composing between 40 and 60% of all of America's imported cheese quota. Tell me the difference between Finnish and Estonian cheese. You got me. Nobody is selling Estonian cheese in the United States. Nobody. The Finnish standard of living is 10 times higher than the Estonian standard of living. You guys have amazing products. Sell your cast iron pots, sell your shirts, sell anything that you can find to sell, put a premium logo on it, sell in a premium place where premium people shop. Go to Washington, D.C. I was in Arlington last week. Arlington Fashion Mall, 5 stories. Tens of thousands of people go through that place every single day from all over the world. And they cannot, in Arlington Fashion Mall, buy a product made in Europe. Solve their problem. This is a lot of detail. I'm going through a lot of detail here. The reason why is because this is information that you can't find. It is very, very hard for you to find this. If you want to know which part of the United States is best suited for what, that's kind of tricky. You'll spend hours on Google trying to figure that out. If you want to understand this idea that Estonia is doing, Estonia takes field trips to the United States. The Prime Minister is bringing a bunch of Estonian companies there in the fall. Finally, doesn't happen often, but sometimes Technopol will take a group of companies to America on a field trip. It's expensive. Yeah, it's really expensive. But I'll say that what you'll gain from that field trip to America for spending the 3,000 euros for a week, and maybe less, you'll come back here understanding more of what that culture is. Because as I said at the Vision Conference, you'll instantly feel the energy change in the room. You see this room? See all the colors, see the energy, the music that was playing, the visuals on the screen. Compare that to your normal Estonian cafe. Now you see the difference between an Estonian ecosystem and the American ecosystem. The American ecosystem is a big, giant environment composed of people trying to generate an energy in an atmosphere. Now you take that to Consum, where you get the, why are you talking to me? You're total, summa, 25 taste. Go away. I mean, come on. It's a massively crazy difference. Now, when you get to the U.S. and you feel that energy, then hopefully that will inspire you to do something with your product that you have here and bring it there. You know what I wrote here? You probably can't read it. It says, try, fail, learn, repeat. Estonians have a serious problem with failure. You have a huge stigma. If you fail, you should go back to Elva and crawl up in a hole and don't talk to anyone. Go to Elva and crawl up a hole. I don't want to see you anymore. But the truth is that Silicon Valley and New York City, do you know why they became the greatest economy centers in America? Because they have a culture that supports you when you fail. If you fail, then you have learned something. I know venture capitalists who will not invest in people who haven't had 7 failed companies. Because once you failed 7 times, then you've learned how to pick yourself back up 7 times, and you're a hell of a lot more valuable to me. The support network. Let's talk about what it is. Other than this meeting in this room, your mentoring thing, that's a support thing. I don't know what that is, but that's part of it. There are Estonian consulates across the United States. Typically, consuls are just rich guys who want to have a cool, shiny thing on their wall. But these guys are actually pretty active. They're in All these states, 2 of them in South Carolina, 2 in California, 2 in Florida, 2 in Illinois. Now here's the weird part. There's 2 consuls in Illinois, but I guarantee you there isn't an Estonian company operating in Illinois. So if you want to sell your cheese, iron gizmo, or whatever to the U.S., find a consul, contact them. Their emails are all on the Foreign Ministry website, and say, hey, I want to sell something in America. Email all of them. This is my product. Do you know anything about it? So I'll tell you a story. I met with Sanger's marketing director, and I said, hey, Sanger guy, sell your stuff in America. And he said, man, that's way too hard. I can't do that. Well, then I found out that Estonia has a consul in Nevada who, guess what, is in the textile industry, who is a fashion guru and sells things in America. He flew to Estonia, met with Sanger, and has since been continuing conversations about trying to get Sanger into the United States. That is part of your resources. These are different agencies that support you. AmCham Estonia, it's the best 300, 400, whatever euros you can spend to get access to me, to get access to other people who can talk to you. Because as crazy as that sounds, this is free consulting, right? I guarantee you, if you were in New York City and you wanted someone to tell you how to do business in India, dude, you're going to have to pay $150 an hour to sit down with some guy who's going to tell you how to do business in India. But with AmCham, you get access to a bunch of support and a bunch of consultants, sort of folks, who are going to give you that input. Select USA, just selectusa.gov. It's an American agency that's designed to help you figure out how to do business in America. EAS, as much as everybody hates EAS, EAS is the agency in Estonia responsible for helping you export. They used to even give you money for exporting. And unfortunately, EAS does not have a market entry consultant for the United States. So there's no one in EAS who can actually help you enter the American market. Whose decision that was, you got me. But every other market in the world other than America, they have an export consultant for who will help you understand how to do business in that market. And then you have the individual states. So I guarantee you, Eric Hintz, that if you want to do business with a company in Virginia, if you contact the Virginia Economic Development Agency and say, hey, I want to do business in Virginia, and then you create a field trip, can I say hi to you? You tell whoever's going to meet with you, because they will meet with you, that you're selling location-based games. They're going to tell you, well, I know like 6 guys who do location-based gaming things. You should go talk to them and have lunch with them. It's the best way to build a network is through the states themselves. Not to mention the fact that Europe and the United States are going to sign a free trade agreement. Because right now, there's a bunch of tariffs. There's a bunch of drama. If you want to do business between the 2 markets, it's kind of complicated. Mr. Niels over there, he's on my board. You import things from Jardin Corporation, right? You deal with tariffs all the time, right? Will this free trade agreement be in some way beneficial to you? There we go. Talk to France. Yeah, that's another level of drama. So here's another crazy thing. Billy Andy has a sister city in Maryland. Sister city is Frederick, Maryland, who, if you want to do business in Maryland, you can contact Billy Andy's economic development person who knows someone in Maryland who can then make all the connections you need to be successful in sales in Maryland. Estonia is full of resources. It's full of a network. Tallinn has, probably more than 10 sister cities or counties in the United States. People whose job it is to help you do business in the United States. I was trying really hard to build a sister city relationship between Montgomery County, Virginia, and Raplas. And not to mention the 2 massive universities we have between Estonia and the United States. Virginia Tech, where I took some of my classes in college, actually has a sistering agreement with Tartu University where you can transfer between both universities without paying anything. These are all the resources that you can use to do business there. And the last thing I'll say on this topic is that no matter where you end up, if you have even a slightest inkling to the American market, you can do all kinds of things. But the thing is, the journey is going to teach you what you need to know. The first and the hardest part is just starting. And that was the same for us at Datel. Datel hadn't done business in the United States before they met me. I met them in the desert in the middle of the night and convinced them somehow that they should do business in the United States. We used the Estonian embassy. We ended up going on road trips, and we found cities called Frackville. I met people, Datel built Estonia's mapping systems. I met people in Virginia who do mapping by cutting out paper with scissors and then glue sticking and taping that paper to another piece of paper, and that was their town map. I ended up in San Francisco, which is a city that has all kinds of complex infrastructure, and then back out to the mountains with nothing. And I can tell you that just by going there and doing, you will learn all that you need to be successful, and you'll find the right people along the way. So, I'd like to invite my board and my embassy friend to come have a seat here and tell you a little bit more about the American Chamber of Commerce and what support systems that there are here in Estonia for you. I'll give them a second. Okay, so I'll let you all introduce yourselves. We'll start with Daria.
All right. Hi. My name is Daria Sivavol, and I'm the Executive Director of AmCham Estonia. We're based in Tallinn. Been founded in 1997, so the Chamber has been functioning for 17 years now. I've been with the Chamber for 10 years, and you can clearly see that since I've been doing it for 10 years, I love the job, and I feel very passionate about it, and working with a great team like some of us are here today from the board makes it really special. I would like to second a lot of things that Carl said. We're here to help you. That's what we do. That's our job, is to bring together companies. We're a business hub of 130 companies at this point. We have lots of activities and events going on, including the Access USA program. And there are flyers on your table, so if you're interested to read what it's all about, you're welcome to take it with you. We're very easy to get in touch with, so just email us, call us up, call Carl. He will definitely lead you to us, and we'll be very happy to help you in any way we can. But yeah, let's do something about the problems that Kaira has mentioned in the beginning. We do need to open up. We need to be part of the global system, so we're here to help you with the US part of it.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Negley. I'm the director of the International School of Estonia. And my school in Tallinn is probably the most innovative little school in all of Estonia. We've been designated by Apple for some of our practices, and actually Rapla schools have come and visited us a number of times. But one of the things I can do as part of, in terms of service to the business community here in Rapla, is that oftentimes you're bringing in foreigners to your companies and you're not sure how to navigate those processes. And our school employs half of our teachers are from around the world, and we understand what it takes to bring people to from America to Estonia. We understand the difficulties that families have when they're bringing their children to Estonia. And when I sell Estonia to recruit people, I often talk about all the wonderful things about Estonia. I love Estonia. I've been here for more than 10 years. And you know, some of the points you can sell about Estonia and bringing foreign talent here is that Estonia is a very safe country. It's a country where things get done, and business works in a way where you can trust your partners in business here. So when an Estonian tells you they're going to do something, it happens. And this is unlike most countries in the world. And it's really hard for Estonians often to understand this. And even in my own school, as a director, if I ask teachers to do something, I know every single Estonian teacher will do what I asked. It's my American teachers who might, oh, do I really have to do this? Is this really what I should be doing? So there's an ease of doing business here in Estonia. The difficulties is the weather, and this is why I have teachers who often leave and go back to America and other places. But other than that, it's a great country, and the rest of the world doesn't know enough about Estonia. And you know, the AmCham can help you bring people in. It can help you, as Carl said, get your products out to the world. We're here to celebrate Estonia, to bring business to Estonia. This is what we're about, and you know, think about our services, because we're here to help you.
Hi, my name is Brett Makins. I serve on the board of the American Chamber, but my job that actually pays the bill is I'm the economic officer at the USA Satkont in Tallinnas. So I've been here for two plus years. Focus of my work is on bridging the two economic ecosystems. I spend a lot of time working with technology companies, and I think this last year has been an exciting one for the US-Estonian relationship. We had the exit of the Estonian tech firm GrabCAD, which was purchased for $100 million, but started here, then based in Boston. Another Estonian company based in Boston called Zero Turnaround, which they went there in 2011 and now have 100 employees in the US, but they've also grown their offices here in Tallinn and also in Tartu. So I think it's a type of win-win scenario that we can point to. But I also help manufacturing companies. There's a great company based out of Paul Diski called Bole Floor, who does these amazing curvy floors. If you cut wood along its natural grain, it creates these random edges. And what they did that was unique was develop a computer system that could then put it together like a puzzle. And two Apple executives purchased the floor, and they got coverage in the Wall Street Journal, in the New York Times. So it shows you what can be done if you do something unique. And people will actually find you, even if you're just on the internet sometimes. And I think Estonia does that well. Just yesterday in Tartu, we did an event focused on the tech community, helping companies talk through and learn how they actually go to the US. And a fellow American who works for an Estonian company here was talking about the fact that he thinks Estonians have both strength on the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain. The right side of the brain is the more our artistic side. And I think Estonians do things really uniquely. There's a unique aspect to them. And then the left side of the brain is, of course, computer programming, engineering, and there's also a lot of people who do that well. And I think when you combine those two things, that it can be a real strength. So we're interested in meeting with you, interested in helping you, or in more appropriately putting you in touch with resources in the United States who might be able to help. I think Carl did a great job of capturing what I think is a whole string of different people, and so in some sense I would give similar advice to what Carl had done, but sometimes we also know specific people or specific industries. So thank you very much for coming today, and I'll turn it over to Niels.
Hey, I'm Niels Hollander, and I'm also on the board of the American Chamber of Commerce, and besides that I'm running a company in Estonia. We are involved in online retail. We're distributing several American brands online all across Europe. We actually don't sell in Estonia, which is a pity. Just like the market in Estonia is so small, and when it comes to online retail, it's really, really difficult. And the whole online market in Estonia is like still it's really, really small, and there's like so much potential to grow it. I'm talking to Omniva all the time, which is like the new name of Eesti Post, and with DHL to make things happen here. But one thing I wanted to say is, like, I'm talking a lot like to students at universities or giving like talks at high schools. And when I ask like the students, what are you going to do when you're done, when you graduate? And like 85% are going to say, we're leaving Estonia. So there's a huge brain drain here in Estonia, and this is the thing we all have to stop. We have to like somehow come up with ideas and also like push the government to do something about it and like against that. Because I mean, like, those people are educated in Estonia, so technically the taxpayer is paying for the education of the students, and they're just like leaving Estonia. So this is a massive problem. Like, the shortage of like skilled labor here is like it's really, really difficult. We're even having problems finding customer service like representatives to do like online customer service. We had to outsource that to call centers in India, and like we have people in Ukraine working for us. It's really, really difficult. So yeah, we just have to work together somehow with the universities, with the government, to make it happen that we keep the talent here. And besides that also like make Estonia attractive to foreign talents and bring more foreign-like talents here. I mean, certain things have been done with the government. It's easier to bring people from outside of the EU here right now. It's easier to get like to get a visa for your employees. But when I'm talking to people, it's usually like single guys. You can sell Estonia to them. That's not a problem. That works really, really well. But as soon as you have to like talk about relocating a family, this is usually where like the job interview comes to an end. Nobody wants to move to Estonia with a family, and this is not only like the weather conditions, and this is not like because of the tax system, because the tax system in Estonia like works really, really well. It's because of the living standards in Estonia. The living standards in Estonia are just like still way below EU average. And this is not just about like Tallinn, there's so much more. There's Rapla, there is Narva, there is Sillamäe, they're like all these like smaller cities, and they just don't have the infrastructure you find in Tallinn. So there's still a lot of work to do here.
Thank you, Niels. I want to just pick up on what we were talking about with living standards. And I would say that, first of all, any attempt to change the tax system, I would look very critically upon that, because the Estonian tax system is rated as one of the top in the world, and that's one of the things that makes Estonia really competitive. But I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up in a town called Bath, North Carolina, named after Bath, England. Blackbeard the pirate, who was a real person, named Edward Teach, lived in my town. The population was about 200 people, and it took me an hour to get to a grocery store. I live in Rapla now, where I have access to 5 grocery stores, a bowling alley, a really good restaurant, a couple of cafes, and I can actually get a train to a city with 500,000 people. If you lived in Bath, North Carolina, and you didn't have a car, you were trapped in Bath, North Carolina, and you couldn't leave. So I would say that, well, yes, the standard of living is a serious issue for us. Maybe one of the even more serious issues is that we can't figure out a way here to market our finer sides of our standard of living, our close-knit communities, our excellent, I believe, excellent food options here, our society that's very supportive and genuine. And those are the parts of Estonia that keep me in Estonia, because I may have fallen in love with an Estonian, but I fell in love with Estonia. And part of that whole process was all these parts of the living standard here in Rapla, because I live here in Rapla, that I never would have had staying in the United States. I would never put my daughter on a bus in the city of Norfolk, Virginia, without at least me by her side. I first came to Tallinn, and I saw a little girl about, yay tall, riding a city bus. I immediately called my then girlfriend, and I said, I believe I need to call the police. There's a little girl here riding the bus by herself, and she's getting off the bus. And I got off the bus with her and just walked at a distance to make sure she was okay, until my wife told me, actually Tallinn is a very safe place, and little kids ride the bus all the time. And I actually worked on mass transit surveillance systems and counterterrorism programs before I came here. And I tell you that if we would have seen that in the United States, we immediately would have sent a police officer to escort that child. So the standard of living here is different. It may not be so great if you get to the really small places in between Rapla and Pärnu. Marjamaa is nice, but some places are suffering from the collapse of Soviet industry that was never rebuilt. And nowadays what we have to do as Estonians in the rural areas is find a way to brand ourselves, capture the sweetness, get guys like Niels and Kathleen down here, and find a way to start exporting. Because if Rapla can start sending its things out, can start making a product that is sold in New Jersey, then you can bring USD back into Rapla, and then you can afford to spend more money at Ra or at Selver or at some other place that will then influence the Rapla economy and raise the standard of living for other people. And I really, truly believe that exporting is a way to change the standard of living. So I really want to thank you all for coming down here. And again, I want to thank Kyra for being so brave and so passionate to bring Kamamaja from Copley to Rapla. And I think this is an experiment we will hopefully repeat in other Estonian towns, because the American Chamber of Commerce, I believe, is committed to outreach to other places. And I would just make one note. There's a huge American company in Järvakandi called Glass is Life. It's owned by an American firm, Corning. They didn't come here today, even though they were invited. But they are investing millions and millions of dollars into a huge renovation in Järvakandi right now, and all the places to stay overnight in Rapla are actually occupied by people building the glass factory. So you have an American presence, a huge American anchor of money in Järvakandi. And I would say that Rapla has proximity to an airport, 45 minutes from an international airport. That's something that I never had. Rapla has a great environment and a chance to really be something. So again, thank you all very much. And I'm just going to put on one last thing before I step down. This is, yes, go ahead.
And just to also mention, we have 2 more staff members with us here. Lindsay and Marina, if you could also stand up for a second. They're also here from the American Chamber side. So if you have any questions, just find any of us here. We'll be hanging out for a while. So thank you again, Kaira, for inviting us. And Carl, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Yep.
Many times we said that we don't have enough people, and I think for the Americans, Estonia is quite appealing. I've noticed it many, many times. But how many times you've approached embassy or somebody who is in charge of this immigration policy? Yeah.
So the AmCham has a particular wing dealing with migration issues in Estonia, and some of the issues have been resolved, and things are much quicker now. So for example, for me, as an American, every time my contract is coming to an end, I have to go back to the police and border guard, and I have to go through a very scary process. Even though I've been here many times, it's one of the few processes in Estonia that is not as efficient as other ways. So I have to go, and I sit there huddled at the desk and hope the lady is nice to me and signs off on the papers. And we know particular people at the border guard who we don't want to deal with our paperwork. So like when the number comes up, we see this one particular gentleman, we crush our paper and we walk to the end of the line and hope for another person to come up. But it has definitely gotten quicker. So now with the new rules, it says that if a person is making so much more than the minimum wage, you're fast-tracked into the migration. And so, like you mentioned, Japanese people and Americans, it's much quicker now. So most people that come from America get approval now within about 2 weeks. So it's actually quite quick. So it's really improved in this last round. There's still some issues that need to be addressed for bringing partners and husbands and parents and elderly members of your family, because this is often the issue when you have, like I said, I bring a lot of families to my school, so teachers with families, and maybe they have a same-sex partner, and they can't bring that person into Estonia yet, because even though the rules are changing in January or whenever, next January, it's still a slow process. I have a family from Mexico who has an elderly mother who wanted to bring her, and that is a much longer process as well. So these things need to be taken account, that people want to bring more than themselves oftentimes, because just like you're close to your families. So that issue has not been resolved. There's a lot of pressure from the AmCham and other, the Migration Committee, and we speak to the very top people with this, the Ministry of Interior, yeah. So it's gotten better for sure. And like I said, there's people at the AmCham who know how to navigate that. So if anyone ever has questions, like I know a lot. We're gonna have our 20th anniversary. So we've been dealing with the immigration, bringing families to Estonia for 20 years. We know all the little hoops and jumps you should use. So come talk to us. Other question? What's it? Yes. Austin, yeah. Yeah. You can come see me. Yeah. Yeah. Other questions, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. I would be really happy if someone else would ask some questions while we have the chance. Mr. Hintz?
1, 2. This is a very general question. I'm Erik, and we're just starting to export to America. So my question is about if you if you're selling something in America, does it matter where it comes from as a country? And if it comes from Estonia, is it a kind of benefit or hinder if you sell something that's from Estonia? Thank you.
It's probably a bit of a double-edged sword. So I'll give you a couple examples. I think Americans who know about Estonia have a positive connotation. You know, if you can attach Skype with Estonia, Americans immediately say, "Oh wow, okay, that's great, I get it." And I also think Americans versus maybe some of your other European partners don't have preconceived notions about what Estonia is. I think if you ask the average German, the average French person, if you say Estonia, they're thinking, oh, Eastern Europe, new country, total disaster. Like I don't think that's not fair, but it's probably the average association. And you might have the same thing in the United States where sometimes someone from New York City might hear a company's from Arkansas and they'd be like, ugh, whatever. You know, they can't make anything good. But it can work to your advantage, and the best example that I know of is Estonia piano. So you're actually using the name of your country in the piano. And I think many of us here are quite good friends with Indrek Lowell, who's the owner. He attended Juilliard School in New York City, which is one of the world's most preeminent music dance schools. And when he was there, he cobbled together enough money to purchase the factory, which was very much on the verge of being bankrupt, and piano quality was considered quite low. And over a 5 or 6 year period, he brought it up to the point that now Estonian piano is considered on par with Steinway, so the finest pianos in the world. Yeah. So when Americans go to buy a product, someone who has the money, these Estonian pianos cost anywhere from like $25,000 to $75,000, so it's not your average product you're purchasing. But they don't immediately associate a brand name. If a product is good, then they're willing to take a look at it. And actually, the founder of Oracle just purchased an Estonian piano. So this is a person who money doesn't matter. He can buy whatever he wants. And he decided he liked the Estonian piano. And so there's advantages, disadvantages, and it probably depends where you are. But I would encourage you to actively, I think if you do some educational work around your product and about attaching it to the positive things that are here in Estonia, that you can do that. You don't have to be a Dutch company, a German company. It's okay to be from Estonia.
There's one thing I'm always trying to tell to Estonian companies trying to sell to the US: be aware of the scale of the market. So the US, it's a massive market. So I don't know, what are you selling? What's your product? Software. Okay. So software is this is obviously quite easy to scale if you have if you have the right people. But if you're actually selling like a product like cheese or like shirts or stuff like that, it's such a humongous market. So you really have to be aware of the scale, and you have to be ready. Yes, you have to be ready for the scale. And also the US is a pretty regulated market in some areas, and you can get sued for kind of like everything. So you have to make sure your product fulfills all this regulations and everything. So get a local partner in the US if you're selling products, or a mentor who can help you in getting into stores and getting your product placed, stuff like that. But for software, yeah, if you have the right partners, it shouldn't be a big problem, because Estonia is it's not a brand name in the US yet, but people know Skype, what Brett said. People in the US might have no idea where Estonia is, but if you tell the people, oh, you're using Skype, right? And most of the people will say yes, and that Skype is an Estonian company, and then they get curious.
I can add to this storyline. When I go to meet a town in the middle of nowhere to sell them our Estonian e-government systems, usually the first thing I ask is, where is it in use? And I say Estonia, and they say, where is Estonia? The worst thing I could say is Baltic, because your average American is going to instantly associate Baltic with Balkan, and then they'll think about the war in Serbia, Yugoslavia's collapse, and children dying. So Scandinavia, Nordic. You want to use Nordic and Scandinavia as your taglines. You want to say Estonia is very much like Finland and Sweden. You want to avoid any and all references to Russia as existing. You want to keep Estonia as the shiny Skype aspects of things. But I think that it's all in how you frame it. You know, everything you could come from the worst place in the world, but you know, Americans are particularly talented at making rust look like gold. So that's up to you as well. And I think we're all kind of into that. So Niels probably has all kinds of advice on how you could frame things in the right way. It was a great question. Does anyone else have any questions? Please. Okay.
Yes, I do have a question about the Sangar that Carl spoke before. And what interests me is how are they doing in the States? Are they already selling their shirts, or does that take time? And the second part of the question is, you said that these Honduras-made shirts sell for $400. Is it really so? And you mentioned that Sangar could sell their shirts for $150. Now, is this a generalization, or are these numbers like accurate?
So the Sangar marketing manager asked me to bring him a Brooks Brothers shirt back from JFK Airport so that he could compare the construction of one of America's finest brands, now sold in Virukeskis, Brooks Brothers, to Sangar shirt construction. I paid literally $150 for the Brooks Brothers shirt. Okay, not a Gucci or some really high-end brand in New York City. The shirt was made in I believe, the Philippines, and the construction of the shirt was markedly less quality than the Sangar shirt that I'm wearing now. This Sangar shirt was, I think, 65 euros, translated to dollars, about $90. Still cheaper than the American shirt, branded with a high-name brand and made under less than favorable conditions. Now, Sangar, as far as I know, is not currently active in the United States. I have been very encouraging them to become active. They are cross-branding with Swedish manufacturers, I believe, and their goal is probably to find someone who wants to put their logo on their shirts and not to be doing direct sales, which they could do online. They do have an e-shop, but unfortunately, and this is one area where Estonia is very weak. I have a little baby, and if my parents want to buy her baby clothes made in Estonia, which there are many Estonian baby clothes manufacturers who are making extremely premium products, it is impossible. It is not possible to buy a Sangar shirt with a Visa card. You can't. So an American buys things with their credit card. Estonians buy things online with BankLink. An American would just view this as utter madness. Like, what is this? I just want to give you my Visa card number. Why can't I? And with Sangar, to enter the U.S. market online would be very easy if they would just figure out a way to get their web shop to accept Visa cards, but it doesn't. Just use PayPal. Yeah.
The problem is like the payment. When you're selling online, just a little example how much we pay in payment fees. We're paying around like in excess of like 50,000 euros every year just in transaction fees for PayPal, for MasterCard, for all kind of credit card transactions. So this is crazy expensive, and actually that stuff, when you accept card payments in Estonia, it's really cheap. The commission on card transaction in Estonia is relatively cheap. And I've been told, like back in the old days here, when there were like actually stores around which didn't accept credit cards, there was, oh, you can't pay with card. It's dodgy business. So you can do everything with card. And it's the same in the US. Now you can do everything by card. But if you sell online, the US is like a pretty much like online-oriented market. You can do you can buy everything online. I mean, now in DC, Amazon is offering same-day delivery. I can order if I order something before 2 p.m., I'll have it in front of my door at the same day. And in Estonia, it's actually difficult getting a shipment to the customer not only on the next day, but within 2 days, and then the customer has to go to the post office and pick it up from the post office. So like, there is no real system in place in Estonia right now which would support online shopping. So that's like kind of like really, really difficult here. And there's so much more room to make those things happen.
I wanted to just cover one last part of the Sangha thing. People do view European products as premium. And when they buy a shirt from Brooks Brothers, they almost want it to be made in America or somewhere, not in a third world country. Same thing with baby clothes. No, I mean, we have this crisis now in the United States where there's Chinese toxins and toothpaste on our children's toys, and kids are getting sick. So you could, literally market it as, this is not Chinese. People will buy something just so they know it's not Chinese, because they can't stand Chinese and Indian things so badly that they will pay a premium just to have something that's not made in China. And I really think it's unfortunate that we can't get the eShop issue solved. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, I was going to do earlier, I'm going to show you one video about what it's like to be the bird video. This is all how to do business with the U.S. government. So if anyone's trying to sell something to the United States government, I can go over that in detail. Okay, so this is the unofficial guide to the difference between Estonians and Americans. Americans generally have the following priorities in making purchasing decisions. 60% of that purchasing decision is going to be based on their personality and relationship with the supplier, which is why if you're European, you're premium, you're good, you're not sweatshops, you're not China, right? Because that's the relationship that you've built. Your product is only a quarter of the relationship, and the price is only about 15%. So don't worry about having a high price. You have to worry more about how you set up the relationship and the personality that people are perceiving. Now this little video I have here is what it feels like to be an American in Estonia at first. See if we can get this to play. There we go. So that's really loud. Let me turn that down a little bit. So the thing was, all the Estonians are like, whoa, look at that weird, crazy, big, giant, weird bird. And then an American just kind of like shows up, and we're like, boom, hey, I'm American, welcome to the party. And I think that my goal has been to try and bring a little bit more of that big, giant, weird bird saying hi feeling out of Tallinn, and why I brought these guys here. And I would encourage anybody, not particularly these guys who are not as outgoing as me, but it's not a bad thing to be the outgoing, creative one in the room. And that's going to be the person who gets the attention and gets out there and gets heard. So anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to us. I hope you enjoy your time here today. And feel free to ask us some questions. The flyers are there. There's American newspapers and magazines over there. And my business cards are on this table. Feel free to send me an email. I have absolutely nothing against getting a coffee anywhere in Estonia and sitting down and chatting up the United States. So thank you very much. Sure. Is it good? Do you want to say this?
Yep, I have here to say a couple of words. We are, of course, really welcome you here. Unfortunately, county governor was here, but he has to leave another appointment. But by my side, I'm working in Rapla County Development Center, and we are most welcome to any contacts about embassy or AmCham. Now we have Carl, our own guy in the board, and of course we have Mayor was also here in morning, and she will be here later on during the day. And I have here some stuff about our county. I will give one to AmCham and another to embassy. So info will find the right place in shelves and tables. Thank you, thank you, thank you.